Alright, it's time for a Wingdiver's guide, just how to make the most of a Wingdiver. You can basically think of them as the DPS, the strongest class right off the bat. Really easy to get that out the way. Describe them as really good mobility and really good damage, but weaker on the defense side. And the key to figuring them out is learning which cores are good. Like that Sky High core is probably going to be the core you use almost your entire time playing the Wingdiver for a lot of situations. There's others like the Turbo core, which is what I used for a long time before I got the Sky High core, but it's even in EDF 5, so it's a known really good core. There's the big core, which is for, hey, I'm not going to fly, but I have these really high energy cost weapons that are really strong that you need to use for very specific boss fights maybe. And I'll show you how they all kind of work, but more or less, the Plasma core, Turbo core, Jet core is okay, Sky High core, big core, the loading cores. Those are the only ones you really need to worry about. Getting those upgraded is really helpful. Jet core is kind of like a looting, maybe a sword slashing core, so they all have their time and place, but you really got to pay attention to their energy cost and their cost to fly. And then in a second here, I'll just show you how I would fight normally as a Wingdiver. Alright, and I'm starting with the Sky High core. It's the one I used the most out of the whole time I was playing the game, just the campaign. Starting out with that mission, I kind of guided you through the fencer recommendations I have, but as you can see, you can just stay in the air really easily. It's barely costing anything. If you start the game as Wingdiver and you notice you're kind of having trouble staying in the air, it gets a lot better, obviously, as you would expect it would. The 𝕃𝕚𝕟𝕉𝕤 Mark III is definitely the most popular weapon probably for the Wingdiver. I've noticed across the board, everyone I seem to be playing with who's playing Wingdiver is using it. But that's not the only thing that's worth using. I also like a lot of the special weapons they added that weren't in EDF 5. But just like this, make sure you overheat yourself when you're safe to get that up to max, just so you can start the next wave with a fresh core. Like here now, I'm all the way back ready, and they just got to me. So I'm just doing that crazy amount of damage you see in the bottom right corner, 17,000 just accumulatively across them all. Really good weapon. Definitely consider that above a lot. Here I'm trying the Thunder Crossbow, W it looks like. It's a good one. I like the Thunder Crossbow. A lot of people do like the Thunder Crossbows for piercing, because they'll hit multiple targets and they just shoot in a line. And I'm not really flying with it because it's costing a little more energy than the Phalanx was. But it's also a really good option. Anything that's shooting lightning and just piercing through is good, especially in caves where it will bounce off the walls. Definitely consider that one. But really, it's up to you. I also just like really niche weapons sometimes. One thing that you should also consider, the special weapon called Star Mines. It even comes out later with Star Mines 2 and then Star Mines F, I believe it's called. Those are insanely good special weapons you should consider taking in. And the Pulsar laser special weapons are really basically like a second Phalanx Mark III. If you use them both together, you're going to get insanely high damage. I'm talking like 80,000 damage on the high end when you get the highest versions of them. But in missions like this where you're fighting all ground forces, it's pretty easy. Me personally, I'm also really partial to plasma weapons. Not this one in particular. I'm using this just to try it for the first time. Splashers kind of like, you know, rain down explosions from above, and it works on these weaker weaker enemies, excuse me. But the plasma big cannon is one that I really like, and there's another one I'm forgetting the name of, but it's just basically like a harder to charge, bigger energy cost, but it does like 10 times the damage. But it's like a one-off kind of a shot. Wish I could remember what that was, but essentially you just look through them, you'll notice there's one in particular that does like 7,000 damage, and the rest of them will do about 600. I like those because they explode and they send some enemies flying. Ants will jump off the walls because they're explosive, so just the push can sometimes be nice because it gives some of your teams a break from them, because they can't obviously start, you know, darting in and charging your allies while they're in the air. But it's not going to work in every situation. You got to find your niche. The Dragoon Lances are also very good for drones, but I'm finding that later in Inferno mode, you kind of need to find better weapons, probably in hardest, before you do Inferno, because those drones are just so fast, and you need something like a Dragoon Lance, for me personally, or like a Thunder Crossbow, that can take them out, even though they're so high speed. To really give you any chance of surviving those missions, unless you're relying totally on your team. Like here, I decided I even show you what I mean. I've got 𝕃𝕚𝕚𝕟𝕜𝕤, which is the special weapon that's sending all these darting lasers to chase them down, and I've got a Dragoon Lance that's pretty good. It's maybe not the #1 Dragoon Lance. It takes a lot of energy, so it's a little hard. But you see how fast they're going in Inferno? You're going to need something that'll contend with that kind of aggressive, all over the place. They're shooting you super fast. All the projectiles are quicker. They're quicker. They're harder to kill. I can try the close laser. It would work in hard mode, but in hardest in Inferno, I'm sure you'll find that it's a lot more difficult to survive these missions where you're just swarmed relentlessly. And besides that, oh, and it's plasma heavy cannon, by the way, is the weapon I was mentioning earlier. That doesn't really have a place anymore, but they might have a better version. I'm almost certain they do, from when I was playing EDF 5, that they have a better version of that. So consider the explosive weapons, even if you don't personally think they're very good at the start of the game. Later on, all the weapons kind of turn into pretty useful in specific situations. Here's one more clip of just me trying my best to survive this crazy mission on the later game, just dedicated to all the drones you'll face in the entire game. Basically, they all kind of congregate here into one massive mission of just survive every drone that we've thrown at you so far. It's going to be a tough one. But that's really all the advice I had for Wingdiver I wanted to share. I got a comment earlier saying that it's nice seeing some videos for EDF because there's not that many out there. It's a good game. If you're watching this video and you don't know what this game is and you're confused, you know, what you're even seeing because it looks kind of retro arcade style, it's a good game to play. And these are just my thoughts on the characters that you can use. There's Fencer, Ranger, Wingdiver, and Air Raider. And I've just finished this with my friends. I'll do a few more guide videos probably just on the classes, even just to remind myself how to play them, because we always come back and play later on in the year just to pick it up and try to get all the missions done on the hardest difficulties. But if you enjoyed the video, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.